Good evening, everyone. Yummy Cheese Man here, and I'm just covering up Nolski's face for no reason. But I'm here with Nolski. How's it going with the big red bearded man?
I'm a little bit of a crab right now, but otherwise I'm fine. I'm keen for another holidays. Let's go.
I'm thinking Rudolph the red-faced reindeer here, but obviously you've had a great holiday and good to see you back
a great weekend, I suppose. But yeah, I'm keen to find out who's our winners for first player awards that you're doing, Yummy.
Yeah, I don't know if you've even looked through everything. I'm sure you have. Okay, good. All right, good. You're not finding out for the first time. I did send Nolski everything, and he even though he didn't show up for the 3-hour-long meeting that it took for the 5 committee members, myself, Jake, Wolfie, Stoney, and AoE Emp, to decide on the nominees to each category. He at least showed up for this. But before we get to the player awards, I know everyone is super hankering for that, but it is still the pinch. It is still, OCE's best chat show. Only, but best. It's also the worst. And so we do want to...
Potentially best chat show world,
Yeah, I mean, every other one, including, ones to real sports and all that, they're just missing that important bearded element. But I do obviously want to still go over, what we start off every pinch with, and we'll make sure we look quicker, and we'll go through the week in review. Now, it's been 2 weeks since we last did the pinch. It was the New Year's special at the end of last year, so we've got actually 2 special episodes of the pinch in a row. But last year, we've had a break, so there hasn't been much happening. Basically, no tournaments ran over the Christmas period. And the only real thing to talk about is the fact that ESL has come back on the 8th, as well as RLO. And everybody was super keen for that, as well as a brand new tournament, the 2K F1 $15 tournament, which ran on Tuesday and was quite popular.
Oh, that's good to hear. We also had for the RLO 2v2s, we had our biggest turnout yet with 34 teams signing up.
Yep.
Ran extra long that night, so it looks like the community's keen to get back into competing.
Yeah, everybody's been missing it, and there's new teams as well. And I think that's something we are going to talk a little bit about later. But I did forget about the RLO 2v2s because, let's face it.
No, it's not really competitive, as important, as 3v3s, but still for fun.
No, it is a good tournament, and I actually had to move back Fight Night a little bit to make sure that we could accommodate the 2v2s as well. But so that's so good to see. Everyone's coming back into competitive. The teams are starting to scrim again. And in terms of that 2K F1 tournament, again, when it comes to winning the first inaugural tournament, it always seems that Yummy Cheese Man is there to do it. Myself, Torsos, and Jake went ahead and won the first ever 2K F1 tournament and went home with that big $15 prize pool.
How long has it been since you won your tournament? Won a tournament, Yummy?
Won a tournament? Not since Mocket, one of the Mockets.
That's right, with that LAN fair team.
Yeah, with Dumbo and AoE Amp against taking down Legacy, but Legacy are pretty easy. So,
of course.
So that was good, and obviously there was the second place in Roquette, but that's not a win, really. But, all right, without further ado, I'm not going to make you guys stay back any longer. Well, just before I do, Torso said, we won the LAN, and our name was, we're going to win the LAN. It's the Vogan meme, and we pretended that the 2KF1 event was a LAN the entire time, including saying stuff on stream like, we're going to win the LAN, and we're on the LAN build, and where are you guys? We can't see you, and stuff like that. It was good fun, and a lot of people got really triggered by it as well.
Well, if it's not, people aren't getting triggered, it's not really you, is it?
What? That wasn't a LAN? What? That was a LAN? I'm so confused. Anyway. Yeah, screw Legacy, says Groovy Grape. Excellent to have everybody in the chat, and hopefully as we go through the nominations, I'm not going to list every single nominee. You're going to have to go back to the voting section to see what the nominees, if you want to do that, and I'll I will quickly pop the voting section into the chat for people to follow along. So if you do want to see who the nominees were, so you can make a guess, but as we go through the categories, we'll leave at least 15 seconds between when the category is announced and the announcement of the winners for you to make a prediction on that category, just for a bit of fun in chat. But again, without further ado, we are going to go into it, and here we go. The first category which I'll announce is the 2016's Best Goalie Award. So for whoever could make the best saves, the most clutchest of saves, just whoever was really good in the net, not necessarily the best defender overall, but whoever you would expect, okay, I've made a shot on goal and they're going to save it. And I think this was a really, really, really hotly contested category. It actually went down to one vote between first and second place. And it was like that the entire time. Watching it go up, and I should preface this by saying there were 71 votes overall. So quite a few people voted. There's a big community thing.
A big turnout, yeah.
Big turnout, considering it was just something that I was doing and not like a big RLO thing. But watching the graph go up for these votes, they stuck even the entire time. You could never figure out who the real winner was. And you could say the same. There's been a few categories like that, which we'll see later. But we will go to the first. We'll first start with the runner-up. So the runner-up for the best goalie is Express. Just one vote behind the winner, and I think that is Express is a very defensive player. He's known very well for his defensive plays, as well as taking it out of defense. But if he's ever in goal, just like, oh my goodness. And Sam Watts in chat saying, Psionics postbug for best goalie of 2016. And that is probably true. He's probably saved far more goals than anybody else. But there can be a winner. And I think at this point, if you know who the runner-up is, you should know who the winner is. And the winner is, of course, Dumbo. Throughout mid-2016 especially, he was an absolute force. He was one of those players who was just scary because in net, you were like, oh, how do I score on him? And that's with 80 ping. He was still able to do stuff because he's just very good at predicting shots.
Mm-hmm. To say for myself, of it all the players that I've played against, Dumbo was the scariest for me, so well deserved.
All right, Nolski, you want to go over the 2016's best striker?
Absolutely. So we've got I suppose, two candidates that really stand out above the rest. So we'll get straight into the first runner-up. Once again, Express with a resounding number of votes, but still only just short of the winner, who I'm assuming everyone will already know will be Groovy Grape. Groovy Grape will be the winner of Best Striker for 2016.
Yeah, I think that's another very good 1 and 2. Groovy Grape, always up there at the front. Express, not necessarily up the front, but if he ever is, you know that he's just going to put an absolute slammer in the top right corner, right?
Mm-hmm. Always one to watch out for. If he's got too much space up front, you got to be prepared for something to happen.
Yeah. So, Spiteful Lemon throwing in a Daisu. Yes, Express, of course, just getting number 2 in everything. And there are a few people like that. They're the kind of players who just are typically really good across the board. So they're not like super awesome in one spot. They come second in everything, which means that they're a good nominee for, there's a Jack of all trades award, no weaknesses award later on. But we are going to go on to the next category. It is 2016's best positioning. And in terms of how the committee voted on this was really interesting because amongst the committee, and with Nolski included, there were 6 voters, and between those, there were 3 people tied on 2 votes. So the committee was completely split on who had the best positioning. So no matter who comes second and first on this one, I will tell you who the committee also voted for, because it's a tough category to pick, I think, especially as a spectator rather than as a player or a caster watching in the actual lobby itself. So it can be very difficult to pick. But
yeah, it's not something that really stands out as something that's too flashy or sort of like how defenders in soccer would be normally overlooked for like Player of the Year awards kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things you just think, okay, who do I never see caught out, basically? Who do I always see if there's a shot on, a backboard pass, and their teammate expects someone to be behind them? Are they always there? And for me, there was a very obvious answer for that. But the community answer, the runner-up, I think a great choice, is Monty Connor from Atletico. And I should actually go back to say Groovy Grape was from Legacy. Best striker, Groovy Grape, and Dumbo is from Sandcastle, well, previously from Alpha Sydney, which is, I think, where he got most of his fame from. Runner-up Monty Connor from Atletico, and the victor of this one is Soma from Legacy. So Soma winning best positioning, and that's 2 awards going out for Legacy already with Groovy Grape and Soma. But the third player, and this was the one that I put down, and the one that got 2 votes, was Snarf Snarf. So he gets an honourable mention for best positioning as well, as a person who plays that third man very well. Always seems...
it's a bit shocking that it got so little. I suppose maybe his style isn't the type that really stands out to get that. I
think that's the point, right? If you're a good positioner, then you don't stand out as
exactly
great plays, and he is more of a third man, so he's not the one up there getting goals. And normally when you're watching Rocket League, the person you're sort of most excited about is the one getting goals or getting at least that big setup or that big dribble play. And Snarf's more that guy who stays back, he gets a lot of backboard goals after his teammates have opened up the net and everything, and he needs great positioning for that. Is that third man, if you're going in, you need to be able to go in at a time that you know that your teammates are back, and you need to be at the right spot to not risk too much at the same time.
Alrighty, so moving on to the next one, I suppose.
Alright, the next one, and you will...
I'll go ahead, yeah, sure, no worries. So we've got the 2016's Best Own Goaler. Unfortunately, I wasn't nominated, so we'll just completely...
Sorry, it was only for players. These awards are only for people who are players. So
that's right.
Nolski is nowhere near that level. He's really bad. And he sits so still on the pitch that he ends up getting a big old sunburn as well.
Alrighty, so we'll move into the runner-up. Was close between 1 and 2. The first runner-up being Nerd. Nerd in the chat wants to give us a quick shout-out.
Nerd, he was so keen. I'm pretty sure that Nerd was going around asking everybody to vote for him as well. Simply because he was so desperate to get that award. But not this time, Nerd. Very close.
Oh, well. Close, but not close enough, as our winner is Dickie.
Oh, of
Dickie
course.
Hasn't been seen for a while.
Yeah, he's been away.
Maybe he will never come back after getting this award.
Well, for context, I almost made this the Dickie Award for Best Whiffer because obviously for a long time, and GameStar started this, the doing a whiff was called doing an own goal was called doing a Dickie. And that's because pretty much every single game, at least every single series, he'll manage to get an absolutely spectacular own goal.
Well, they're not easy to score, you know. You got to give him some credit.
He scores well at either end. Excellent.
Let's hope we see him again soon.
All right, and now we've got a bit of a silly category once again. 2016's Most Toxic Player of the Year. And to be fair, we kind of didn't want to nominate people who were actually toxic. There was maybe like one person that we could have nominated that would very much just easily win this award. They haven't been around for a while now, and I think everyone knows who I am talking about. But that would kind of be silly. We don't want to actually promote that stuff. So this was very silly. We tried to nominate 5 people who were specifically not toxic. I nominated DeBeast because he's never said anything to anyone. He's very silent. The only thing he ever does is tell people that they did a nice shot. He's a very lovely little kid. And there are some other great nominees, including making an exception for Dover because he didn't get a win in the Community Awards, so he needs a win somewhere. But speaking of Dover, unfortunately, he only got 2nd place. He's still not toxic enough. What a jerk, though. He is one of the worst people around. Dover. Ugh.
Dover, my boss, well, I voted for him, so.
Yeah, I voted for him as well, but a lot more people, not a lot more people actually, it was really close. I think it was 2 votes was the difference. So more people voted for the winner, Little Miss Dumpling, of course, incredibly toxic player.
The most toxic person I've ever met. Absolutely.
From Tasmania. I think she's 16 years old. And is the sub for Abyss at the moment. Looking for a core roster, so if you want a really toxic player for your team, pick up Little Miss Dumpling.
Rising toxic player.
The rising toxic player, yeah.
Okay, I think the next award is my favorite by far, for many reasons. Number 1, it's not me. And number 2, because it has, I think, the most resounding victor by far, like not even close to contest. So the runner-up, while it is Jats, is not even close to being the winner.
Jats came 2nd with an 18% of the vote, something around there, and then it was just, yeah, it was a huge victory.
And the biggest slice of the pie goes to, of course, IDK.
Easy win for IDK.
What can you say? What can you say? I mean, it's completely uncontested. Has to be the IDK award now.
IDK, the self-professed wall and defense, who manages to, if he doesn't miss the ball, he's great at defending, but half the time he does miss the ball. So, that's great. All right. Next category is 2016's Best Faker. So we've kind of gone over a few of these silly awards. And congratulations to those people. And again, IDK, we should say, was from Phoenix Gaming. And I think that is also a very, telling sign.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because Nolsky, you taught him everything he knew.
Absolutely. I coached him one-on-one at as many times as I could.
Excellent. And Monty is literally a king at whipping. That is the big thing, Mrs. Snuff Snuff, and going over these categories, as well as looking at how the committee members voted on things. People are very aware of what their teammates do and how the people they play with and how much they do something. This is when 50% of the entire community realize that IDK or think that IDK is the biggest whiffer because he basically whiffs every touch he tries to make. That's when you sort of go, okay, I was wrong, even though I think X is the biggest whiffer. And there's a few categories like that where, I think somebody nominated me for best dribbler, and that somebody was somebody who's been playing with me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I don't think anybody, not even myself, voted myself for best dribbler. So there's spoilers for later on. I will not be runner-up or winner of best dribbler. So 2016's Best Faker Award, and I think this is really interesting to think about. It's really hard to tell who the best faker is because you either fake someone or you don't, and you have players that say, I think Express was nominated. He just fakes all the time, right? He fakes almost every dribble.
Yeah.
So he has a high number of successes, but his success percentage maybe not so high. So how do you sort of decide that? Well, the community, I guess, decide. But this was a very difficult one for the committee. to nominate 5 best. However, number 2, a runner-up, is, of course, Bango from Atletico. And I think this is very well deserved. I think anybody who is a good dribbler should be in here. Bango, a great dribbler, in his prime especially, in the Atletico number 1 dominating. Bango is a huge dribbler and also known for probably being one of the first to get a lot of successful fakes in tournament. It comes from his confidence. So he's very confident in driving it forward, going for a fake, just taking that slight risk that comes with taking a fake to try and beat someone. But the winner, and I think a lot of people expect this, he has the montage, which I think really helps, that a lot of people have watched, and that is, of course, AOE Emp from Sandcastle. Previously Gameroos, though.
Yeah, I think for me, for all the players that I've played against in that list of nominees, Amp is the only one who can get me repeatedly every single time. Either I'm completely, an idiot, or maybe he's actually the best faker in 2016.
Yeah, I think he is again, like the example I used, Express, goes for an absolute ton of fakes. He'll just like drive along the ball, and you expect him to actually make a play, and he just doesn't, and then people go flying across the pitch.
Yeah.
And that's how he made the fake montage. Bango saying, "Where'd my prime go?" And I'm going to say it's probably when you took a few weeks to go study. But more importantly, it's sort of, I stated it because Atletico had that prime time of being just clear number 1 for a long time. And I think back to that stage. And if we were only to consider that one little section, and I think if we did these community awards, 4 or 5 months ago when that time was, Bango would probably be the winner. He'd be the distinct winner of this category. But this is across the entire year, and also because it is a community vote, I think it sort of tapers towards the end of the year, which is when AOEM did the most fakes. 2016's Best Bumper. This is an award that, kind of goes in my heart, so I hope that I win.
Is it one that's really that you'd want to win? Is it something that you want to show?
Man, bumping.
I'm the best,
look, if you can't play, you take somebody else out of the play, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So that's why I always demolition. I got a lot of great demolitions in front of net. Open it up.
Yeah,
Double demolitions, especially against Abyss, was my specialty. They hate me, and if the Abyss guys didn't vote me for this category, then there is hell to pay. There is absolute hell to pay, because I couldn't figure out how to score against Abyss if they were all in defense, so I just go and run and bump them all out of net.
Fair enough. But anyway, the first runner-up, before we get on too long, is Bango once again. Still close to second. There was close between, I suppose, Jay Cook as well.
Yep, Jay Cook was
the
up there.
Atletico guys. And a lot of votes.
When it came to the committee, I guess because the committee are all people I talk to, they all voted. I think it was like a 67% vote for Yummy Cheese Man. But in terms of community vote, nobody even thinks I'm a player, so that's fine.
Before we get on, I want to give a quick shout out to Owen, because I've played a couple of times with him, and then pretty much all he does is demo.
Yeah.
So
that's the only thing Erase Venom had going for them.
Yeah, a bit unlucky to miss out on the winner, as the winner is Cyrix.
Yep.
Somehow.
Well, Cyrix used to go for a lot of bumps. He was a big bumper. Nowadays, he's trying to bring it back as well. So, of recent, he's been bumping a lot more too.
Seems a lot more tame nowadays, yeah.
Yeah. Amongst his team, he is a big bumper. All right. So, next on is the 2016's Best Aerial Award. And I think this category was actually filled with superstars, because there's a lot of people who are just really good at aerials, that focus really hard on aerials. Their play is entirely based off aerials. And they're just really quick in the air. I don't think Jules was nominated, but he's a good one to throw in there. If he wasn't also nominated for the Best Whiffer Award, he could have definitely been a great contender for this one. As
There's
he's
no
the kind of
best
player
flying without connecting to the ball award. So I suppose
he's the kind of player who just gets up very quick. He's very fast in the air and then hits it hard when he's up there. Sometimes he would jump without thinking, but he would be very good at it. But the runner-up of this is Alpha Sydney Torsos, taking out second place or runner-up in the Best Aerial Award. And I did a spotlight for him this last week, a player spotlight on Twitter, which maybe we'll go over a little bit later on. And I got to admit, he is very good at aerialing. Something I noticed when he first came in Blitzkrieg was that he would aerial a lot like Cuxir. And the way Cuxir aerials, he gets up really quick and then stops. Yep. And then just make sure he gets the perfect shot, lines it up, because he's willing to lose 5 kilometers an hour. It doesn't mean that much to get perfect placement. So he rotates his car a little bit in the air and then uses that last little boost to tap it a bit further forward. So it's not the fastest way to hit a ball, but there is a lot of technique to that, a lot of patience in that style of aerial.
Placement is very underrated. So it's definitely a good technique to look on.
Well, funnily enough, I think both of these players have similar technique, but the winner, Express, has a more flary technique. He will get up and he will spin his car to the perfect spot. He goes for a much more difficult aerial style, much more technical ability, but he pulls it off perfectly. He's very precise with his movements. And I think he won based off his ability to just, again, get up high quickly and slam that ball in the perfect position. He's just great at hitting it into the right place. So it's good to see that I think the community also voted in the same way, because there were some of those Lucarish and Plitzinator type players who they're more known for just really getting up fast. Like they would be faster in the air than Express and Torsos. But they don't get maybe this exact same precision. So people voted precision over power.
Yeah. The best success rate, I suppose.
Where was the Rex Award? That's a good idea. We kind of...
Well, we know who's going to win that, so let's move on.
Yeah, we also know who would win that, yeah. Easy win for one person.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Groovy Great, for winning the Best Redirects Award. Legacy Groovy Great. And again, Express is from a one more now. They're no longer Abyss, and that's something we should have gone over in the week in review. Abyss are no longer sponsored by or part of the Abyss org. They are now known as One More, and I'm sure they will pick up a new org very soon.
And he's also switching out from the flat card into the Octane.
Yeah, that's a good choice, but especially as a defensive player. But we'll see how he goes with it.
Yeah, alrighty. So moving on to the 2016's best team player / passer. This is another one similar to positioning, I suppose. Not one that really stands out because they're not finishing it. But say in a solid play, they'll stand out, I suppose, in creating that play, creating that option, being that playmaker, you know.
Yeah.
So our runner-up, similar to their best positioner, is Soma, with a significant, actually not really significant. It's hard to say because everyone had a very similar amount of votes. So the difference between first and second was close, but I suppose
I think this was another one voter, wasn't it?
This was one vote, yeah. It was one vote difference between a runner-up and a winner. But definitely the top two stood out amongst the rest, and the winner is Monty Connor from Atletico.
That's a big one, I think, as well. When you think of the players on Atletico, sort of Bango really stands out, and I think Monty Connor is underrated. Well, I thought so, but Monty Connor wins the Best Passer Award, which does show that he does get the gratitude or, expectance, the recognition that he deserves.
It's a testament to their style of play as well.
Yeah. Monty Connor, I think he's great all over the pitch. He's very he's not a greedy player, and he's great at controlling the play, which is why he does well and gets the best passer award. So congratulations through to him, and he's even in the chat bringing out the Pog champs. Congratulations, Monty. Or should I say Connor?
Connor.
All right. And that is Atletico's first win. They keep getting runners-up with Bango.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be happy with that now.
All right, the 2016's Best Dribbler Award, and I think this might be going alongside the Best Faker Award. But the Best Dribbler, this one was a really interesting one. The votes in the public vote, when you exclude me from the vote, who got 0 votes for obvious reasons, it is a very close competition between 4 people. And it's also because it's very hard to think who is the best dribbler. It's very hard to say, okay, this person is better at dribbling than that person, unless you're specifically up against them, getting dribbled by that person. So the votes in this one were fairly similar across all 4 people who got votes. And I think it was just different flavors of dribbling. But the runner-up for this one, and forever the bridesmaid, is, of course, Atletico Bango once again. And well done to being... Is that the third time Bango's number?
I think
number
that
2?
is the third one, yeah.
He's easy for Bango. The best dribbler was at best demolitioner and best attacker or something? Best striker? I can't remember. But lots of A's and Bango not like this in the chat. Excellent to hear. And then the winner. And I think this surprises me, but it doesn't surprise me too much, because I was thinking of these awards, and I didn't put this out there, that they were for 3v3 competitive tournament play. So,
okay.
The sort of stuff that matters, right? And then the Siki is our winner for 2016's Best Dribbler. It's a great choice. He is a fantastic dribbler, but he doesn't do a lot of them in threes compared to ones. And so even though he's a fantastic dribbler, I think he got them from his ones. So this is why Siki was a little bit of a surprise to me. But I don't disagree that he is the best dribbler on that list.
Mm-hmm. I've got to give you a shout out, Yummy, because I've seen you dribble, and I've seen the way that you play with your keyboard setup, and it's not easy to do what you do with your setup. So, yeah, I'm going to give you a shout out for that.
Keyboard is the easiest. Everybody should be using keyboard. Thank you very much.
I don't know how you bother to do like air dribbles with the Marauder on that kind of keyboard setup. It's insane.
Yeah, no, my dribbling was all focused on 3v3 play and just taking people out of the game and trying to set up my teammates. So if you ask Dumbo, he would probably put me down as a top dribbler, but I definitely don't. I wouldn't put myself down as top dribbler. I didn't vote myself top dribbler at all. But I think I'm a solid threes dribbler. Mm-hmm. He's calling you disabled. Wow, Dumbo. All right.
All right, let's moving on to the next category. 2016's most exciting to watch. I think this is the winner's already written in the.
I think that this category is kind of made for one person, but yeah, go ahead with your formalities.
Absolutely. So our runner-up is Express. Still a flashy player, I suppose. Like you say, he gets up to the air quickly, and that Batmobile makes any twist look good.
Yep.
And a winner, of course, without a doubt, is Groovy Grape.
So again, Abyss Express and Legacy Groovy Grape. So I think that's 3 wins already for players from Legacy.
That's 3 as well, yeah.
Groovy Grape taking this one out. Very, very flashy player. The kind of player who pushes very far ahead. He stays in the opponent's half quite a lot and then just attempts to get big redirects, big exciting plays, air dribbles. And that's kind of what Legacy sort of go for. They play a defensive style with Aaron holding very far back so that Groovy Grape can specifically do silly stuff and try and open up the net. And it works. It obviously works because they managed to win ESL packs. And even when Groovy Grape was on Team Supremacy / All Stars / Los Luna Lads, he was known for his exciting plays. So was Jules. They would just do crazy stuff all the time. They'd pre-jump for all their attacks and just hit the backboard and go crazy. And even though it didn't work, they would keep doing it and do lots of montage plays. It was very, very entertaining to watch, and maybe sometimes frustrating when you're playing against them and Groovy Grape manages to do some kind of like crazy edge. You'll be like, how did that even work? Why did I get beaten by that? But it's very fun to watch.
Definitely.
Right, next category is 2006 Best Midfielder. So we're starting to hit the part of the awards where it's the big, heavy-hitting categories. So Best Midfielder, Best Defender, Best Attacker. Sort of we've hit those small categories that are very specific: dribbling, shooting, goalie, etc. And we're looking at these are sort of the more major awards that recognize some of the brilliance of these players, the best of the best over the year. And this is the first of those categories. We'll go through these three, and then there'll also be the best substitute and best most improved. So they'll be there. But 2016's best midfielder, a great category. I really like this category because a lot when you're watching a match, the casters will typically talk about defense and offense, but the midfield is so important. Controlling that midfield, being able to get the ball from one end to the other, preventing plays coming out, intercepting those passes, that kind of stuff is super important. And
being able to connect from offense to defense, or from defense to offense as well, that's very important.
Yeah. So if you can control that, it is absolutely fantastic. But the runner-up, and I think this is the second time Soma has been runner-up, but Soma is from Legacy, is the runner-up for best midfielder, and rightfully so, especially in the latter half of 2016. Early in 2016, he was a very defensive player. But in October, when they picked up Groovy Grape, he transitioned to a more offensive midfield role, where he sets up a lot of passes to Groovy Grape, or vice versa, gets that midfield play. But the winner, and this might be a bit of a surprise to people, but I guess it can't be too much of a surprise because the majority of people voted for this. It was a close one, but winner is Atletico Monte Connor for 2016's best midfielder. And again, I think this is a great win for Monte Connor. I think I actually voted for him in this category. I
think I did as well.
Yeah, he's great in that sort of aerial midfield contests. He's good at getting challenges. He's great at passing, and I think it goes hand in hand with that best passer award. I think Soma came second by one vote in best passer, well. And I think right. Soma was obviously very close to Monte Connor in this one. So two very similar players, and Soma just getting edged out by Monte Connor in this case.
Alrighty. Moving on to our next category, I suppose another one not so much held in high regard as our best attacker, but our best defender of the year. Definitely stood out amongst the rest, Yomi.
Yeah. Was far ahead, and I think, again, it goes towards the middle of the year, but we do have a runner-up.
Yes, the runner-up, like you said, a very defensive player is Express.
Of course.
Despite the flashiness, but up there, but not quite as far up as our winner, which is, of course, Dumbo. Dumbo from Sandcastle.
Yeah, so Dumbo gets the best goalie and the best defender. Two awards that maybe, again, go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. But Dumbo, very solid in defense, and I think the big thing with Dumbo, at least when he was on Alpha Sydney, when he had Stoney and Dicky who would push up quite a lot, is that he's very defensive-minded, which is why he's a good defender. He makes sure that he is ready for a defense and to save a goal when he can.
Very much that pillar role. That's how I see Dumbo.
Yeah. And all right. Yeah, so we've already seen Express. He's been second or first in multiple categories so far. So he's been going ham at it, as well as Groovy Grape getting a couple of great wins as well.
Mm-hmm.
Best attacker of 2016. We've got the Dumbo pre-jump spam in chat. Yes, he pre-jumps. Yes, he is on 80 ping. Yes, he is able to predict the shots every single time. And it's only just now that he's fallen off in the terms of that defensive prowess, because people are starting to figure him out and be a little bit more clever in their attacks. But for the longest time, and I know Torsos Jake, you've only been playing for a couple of weeks now, but for the longest time, he specifically was fantastic on defense, far better than I would say anyone else in that category, and was even known just based off his offense for a while as being the best player in OCE. In 2016, for some period. 2016's best attacker. I think this is going to continue following a theme of the night. There's some fantastic offensive players in OCE. Players that are just always that forward man, putting on those plays. And the canonical, I think, player of 2016 that is like this, well, there's two. I think the two people who came second and first are just the two people you think of when you think, are they forward? Yes, they're forward. And the runner-up is, of course, the bridesmaid himself, Bango from Atletico. Congratulations on another second place. Just really smashing out those twos there, Bango. As 2016's second best attacker. But again, I will say, if you transported us back 4 months and did these awards then, he would be number one by an absolute landslide.
Definitely.
He would have been, I think there was, 4 or 5 months of Bango just being like, he is in the offense, he is going to get a goal, how do we stop him kind of deal. He's just really good at changing up what he does. He dribbles, he shoots, he passes, and that is his big strength. He is very intelligent with his attack, which I think is opposite of Groovy Grape. Oh, sorry, the next guy is Groovy Grape, the winner of 2016's best attacker, who his strength is in that he's unpredictable because he goes for crazy stuff. And that is exciting, and Groovy Grape sets up a lot of plays. And in particular at ESL PAX LAN in the grand final, that's where he showed up and managed to really show his offensive prowess. So Legacy, Groovy Grape, Legacy taking out another award, as you'd kind of expect from the team that is considered the best team of the year to take out quite a few awards. And Groovy Grape taking out 2016's best attacker.
It's hard not to if you're going to pick up flashiest player or best attacker. So yeah. Alrighty, moving on to the next one. 2016's Jack of all trades. I'm not sure if you followed up with a master of none, but the type of player, I suppose, who doesn't really have a weakness to exploit. Someone that I suppose you can rely on to be consistent. And I suppose, go straight into it, our runner-up is Dumbo. Dumbo with just short of coming third, I suppose, next to Monty Connor by 1 vote. But according to the community vote, a standout winner is Sirix.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice. I think Sirix is a great fit for that category as well. When you think of a jack of all trades category, and this is kind of the purpose, we were looking not for somebody who was like just good at everything. That's the player of the year category. We're looking for somebody who has no weaknesses, who is at least solid all around, consistent overall categories. And Sirix fits that perfectly. He's really good at he's solid at everything he does, but he does fit. The thing that prevents Sirix from, moving up and being nominated for Player of the Year is that he's not got any of those really big strengths, those express saves, those groovy grape shots. He started it. He started getting those really great ground shots that could have put him into a big offensive player, but he's still got work to go in that. So Sirik's perfect jack of all trades.
The sort of the glue player.
Yeah, he's very much a glue player. He's very much a person that you can just know he'll be anywhere on the pitch and be fine. So with Abyss or one more, he can push forward and be that attacking, aggressive player. If he's with another team, if he's with another one, then he was that defensive player. He can be a midfield player. He can be anywhere you want. He's a great player, and you've seen this time and time again, for a pickup team because he is so flexible and can do anything. He works well with just people that he's never played with before.
Yeah.
So on to 2016's best substitute, and I know Jay Cookwat, he better be in the chat because he was excited to be nominated for this award. Mm-hmm. But this is an interesting category. Hard to tell who the best substitute is. But the runner-up for best substitute is Jay Cookwat himself. The runner-up for Atletico. And towards the end of Atletico's dominant phase, when they came back, he played a sub for them for the first time after being on their team for 3 or 4 months. And they still did quite well. They would take 3rd or 4th. I think they won a tournament as well, did quite well, and bringing out the Snarfity Cooks in chat. And I have that as well, so I'll put the Snarfity Cook over there, Jay Cookwat's face, over there in chat. So he did great for Atletico, but I think this is a very obvious winner, and he did receive more than 50% of the votes, and that is Pino from Legacy. Legacy trying to get the clean sweep, but Pino does a great job filling in typically for Aaron. Pino and Aaron both fulfill a defensive role. They hang back and they let Soma and Groovy Grape go on attack. And Pino does that well. He even got them straight into the ESL PAX LAN by winning the invite qualifier. So obviously they do very well with Pino, and that's very strange. You know, you don't expect a team to bring a substitute in and still win a tournament with all the best teams there. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did with Pino. So very well played. He actually, and I was talking to Soma, Pino actually dictated the way that they ended up playing with Aaron.
That's right.
Because they brought in Pino as a sub, and they felt so comfortable when Soma pushed up, and Pino was just staying back because he's less confident and playing that defensive role, that they were like, okay, we want to stick with this style. And now Aaron is moving into that defensive style, which is hard on Aaron. He needs to, he's been practicing that and getting comfortable with that defensive style. Yep. But Pino, very well deserved.
Absolutely, yeah. It was Pino who facilitated that dynamic with Groovy Grape up at the front.
Yep.
Got to give a shout out to Stormclawd being the biggest meme substitute.
Biggest meme substitute. He's been substitute for everyone by now. Mm-hmm. But nobody ever wants to actually like play with him, right? He's just there coaching, and then he comes in, and he's actually a fairly solid player. He's got quite decent mechanics.
But the sub that's not a sub.
But the sub that's not a sub, the saltiest sub as well. And we were going to do a 2016's most salty award, but Stormclawd would have won that by an absolute mile.
Alrighty, so moving into the next category, the most improved player of 2016. Another fairly close category amongst the lower of the votes, I suppose. Uh-huh. But for me, I very much agree with who won. But before we jump ahead, I suppose we'll run into the runner-up. Which is Kia from Masterminds. That's someone that you yourself has talked out and said a lot about Kia's improvement.
Mm-hmm. He's made a ton of improvement this year. He's just really great mechanically nowadays. Mm-hmm. And you can see that he's on Masterminds. And he came from Prodigy. He was the star player of Prodigy. He led the attack. He's great at dribbling. He's also solid in the air. And he's looking like in 2017 he might be able to make it into those tier 1 players, those tier 1 teams. Definitely a person to absolutely look out for, because he is fantastic at the moment. And at the start of 2016, I think he was only just, playing for like CGA, like kind of very low level teams.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. The memes are flying. I think it's because you got text over my head.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was looking for one of the results from the thing, so I might have just spoiled it if people are able to pause it quick enough.
No, I think it'd be right. Well, otherwise we'll just jump straight into it.
Yeah.
The winner from Alpha Sydney is Torsos. Torsos was the one I voted for, was someone I was very keen on for winning this award.
Yeah, Torsos started in February, so he only just started playing this year. He's only just hit 1,000 hours. I think he just hit 1,100, but he's been playing more than 100 hours a fortnight over the last 2 weeks. So,
okay.
So when you consider that, I think when they won Sennheiser Classic, Torsos had 800 hours.
Yeah, that's not much.
That's a ridiculously
that draws
low
parallels
amount.
to Snaf's hours when they won
Yeah.
RLC.
Yeah, but nowadays, as time goes on, the entry level of hours goes higher and higher. So even though Snaf was at 800 hours when they won RLOC, that's really impressive. And that's why he was nominated here for Most Improved as well. But Torsos coming in with 800 hours even further on in the year and still winning out that tournament, that is absolutely massive for that to happen. He's gone from nothing to the #1 team in OCE in a very short period of time. And, sort of just started out quite strong, but has even improved far beyond that. So Torsos, while we said that Kia, 2017, look out for him, you needed to start looking out for Torsos in 2016. And Snaf said he was at 550 hours when they won RLOC. So that's a big one for him as well.
Yeah. I suppose you'll be looking out for anyone in or just Alpha Sydney in general for 2017.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us on to the final category, final real category, and that is 2016's best player. And this is the best player across 2016. I got a couple of messages saying, how can Groovy Great be 2016's Player of the Year in the Community Awards and not listed here? And it's just simply because no one on the committee nominated him for best player.
I think it's important to consider all categories, all styles of play, every facet possible. While Groovy Grape is fantastic up forward, a very flashy and a very popular player, probably didn't tick all the boxes for everyone in the committee to nominate him.
Yeah, it was, so the way the committee worked, everybody just nominated their pick for best player, and then if there was crossover, which there usually was, I think then there would be discussion on who would be added as extra, as that fifth, to fill out the 5. And when considering the entire year, there was no one. The Groovy Grape was unable to fit. I think he would have been in around 6 or 7 for that. But there were 5 absolutely fantastic best players nominated. There can be only one winner, and the runner-up and a worthy player is Soma from Legacy, taking out another second place. I think that's his 3rd second place, just behind Bango with 4 second places as 2016's best player. And the winner...
He does have a gold medal, so...
the winner of the Player of the Year, and I think it might not come as a surprise because... he kind of came second place in the Community Awards for Player of the Year, is Express from One More, the man himself, known as probably being the best mechanical player already, and being nominated or chosen by the community as the best player. I kind of wanted to point out as well, this is another category that the committee was completely three-way split on. And I think the other person who the committee three-way split on was, and I'll bring that up once again, because this is what I was trying to check out before I realized I was ruining everything. The other person that the committee was completely split on, I just want to confirm that I'm saying the right thing. Yes. So the other person the community was completely, the committee was completely split on, it was Express, Soma, who were there, and the third person who also received 2 votes was Monty Connor. And I think the committee was probably made up of Monty Connor fans, because it got to the point where we were like, okay, Monty Connor has been nominated for 8 or 9 categories so far. How can you not nominate him for the Player of the Year? Because he's just solid everywhere. He's that kind of player who, like Sirix, doesn't seem to have weaknesses, but has the big strengths. But, of course, Express is also the kind of player who just carries a team to victory if he wants. He might not do it every game, but there are just those games where you're like, okay, Express, 1v3, go ahead and go win the game, defend like crazy, and then get 2 absolutely ridiculous goals to get the win. So Express is the 2016 player across the entire year. And that is all the awards. So thank you very much for voting, everyone. There were 71 votes. Thank you for the committee, who all spent 3 hours sitting there debating, sending me names and stuff like that, getting cranky because we expected it would only take about an hour and whatnot. And I also have to thank everyone, because for the silly category of the best committee member, I think it was a very astounding victory for the one and only Yummy Cheese Man. Second place went to Stony on that one, but they're not like a real award. They were just there because I'm silly. And when it came to best car choice, and I think this was completely stacked, was Drippe with an astounding 5 votes for his car. So Drippe, there was quite a few votes for Groovy Grape and Stony as well. And honorable mention of the category of me, and not me as in Yummy Cheese Man, but literally ME, who got quite a few votes as well. And then there were a lot in that category because it was like an open typing thing to say Yummy is a ding dong, Yummy has the worst looking car, that kind of stuff. So
I voted for Ferrari, so
somebody voted for Lacinio.
Yeah, that's definitely Oceania.
But yeah, Drippe winning out that best car because he has... nobody likes your car, Dumbo. I don't think anybody voted for you. Maybe yourself. But actually, I can quickly bring it up again, see if anybody did vote for you, Dumbo. Oh, Dumbo, because it never changes. There we go. We actually have 2 votes for Dumbo. But that's not enough to even put you within the top 4 or 5. Because the winner had 5 votes, and then there were 2 or 3 with 4 votes, and then 2 or 3 with 3 votes. So, that is the Player Awards. Again, thank you to everyone who voted and who's come to watch. We do still have a bit more of the pinch to go. I wanted to put most of the Player Awards for that. But we will quickly go over and just talk about, and I think this is the excitement around everything, the end of the year, the Player Awards, but the explosion of teams that we've had in the first week of 2017. It's been a big thing for us. With that break, I think a lot of teams are coming back. And I guess we'll talk about the factors after. But for ESL, I think we had 37 teams sign up. And I think the record we've ever had for one tournament was RLOC, which had 48 for one single tournament. The first qualifier had 48 or something, and the second had 36.
Yeah, we also had something similar to those numbers for the Team Array's ODC
Yep.
when Upper Power came down.
Yep. Big numbers there. And so for just a weekly ESL to get 37... No, it was actually 47 total that signed up, but not 47 checked in. I think overall there were about 40 teams that played. And that's huge. 40 teams, 3v3, 120 players in OCE. And if we can convert those teams into permanent teams that are playing on the ladder, it will improve OCE by a lot. It'll be more enticing for sponsors to come in and be like, oh, I can reach out to 120 dedicated people who are super excited about Rocket League.
Yep.
So the stuff that I'm asking you guys out there, with the number of teams coming in, is to nurture those teams, be friendly, don't shit talk them, don't try and like absolutely demolish them and laugh or whatever. If you beat someone 10-0 or whatever because they don't know how to aerial, encourage them to play more. Tell them about the RLOC's division and say, hey, there's some great tournaments on RLO that you can come and play and you won't have to get knocked out first round. If you're in ranked and you see people who you've never seen play a tournament, ask them, do you know about the fact that we have tournaments? Get those teams in. I think that's something that we've been doing and something that the ESL titles have been really helpful for. I think that's another big reason people came to ESL as they came back. It was the first week since titles came out. So people just found out about it, right? They're like, oh, that person has ESL champion. How'd you get that? I played an ESL competition. They have competitions? Yes.
Yeah.
So please
and just dominoes from there.
Please. Yeah. And please, whenever you're versing one of those teams, tell them about the other competitions. Advertise to them. Get them involved in the community. Grow the scene. Because this is just the first step. And if we turn, a weekly competition from those 16-team competitions to minimum 32, if you can be like, oh my goodness, there's less than 32 teams, then that'd be fantastic. Even 2KF1, I think, had 29 teams in it. And that was a $15 tournament.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that is...
but the ESL is sort of tailored to those high-tier teams.
Yeah.
It's good that teams are showing interest, though, and getting out there and trying and learning by a baptism of fire. But yeah, it definitely needs to be shared around that.
It can be a pretty bad experience if it's your first time playing and you're up against the number one team. That's what happened with Alpha Sydney and 2KF1. We played, when I was playing with Jake and Torsos, we played against a brand new team and just demolished them. And it's like, well, they don't know that we're the number one team even, or that...
yeah, it doesn't get much worse than that.
And they're like, just get absolutely crushed. And they think, oh, we're so bad we get beaten by somebody 10-0. But, it's actually understandable. If they'd been versing someone else in the tournament that was not in the top 15 of the teams, another Bees team or something like that, they would have had a much better time and thought better of tournaments and come back for more. So, again, it's really important that in OCE we nurture that. In NA and EU, they just have free growth because they have so many people. They have the ability to get 3,000 players to sign up for RLCS. We don't. We need to, as a community, help that scene grow and grow beyond what's expected. We need to hit way above our weight on that regards. And that's how you get more money. That's how you get sponsors coming in, and that's how you get salaries. So if you want that kind of growth, if you want better tournaments, then it's in your own interest.
I wonder also how many teams that have been joining these tournaments, how many of them are actually they're doing it because they have time off through the holidays, away from school.
I think there's that.
Actually dedicated.
I think there's also the fact that there was like multiple weeks off, 3 or 4 weeks, and people came back excited to play more Rocket League.
Yeah,
to come back for the first time. So the next ESL will be a big tell. But to be fair, I think even before it came back, ESL was starting to grow bigger than what we expected. And they're reaching out to more than just the hardcore fans that know Rocket League already. More than just the RLO community, for example.
Yeah.
they're able to hit a wider audience of just simply Rocket League players. And obviously, there's a huge untapped market there. People who are not superstar, just blue category ranked or above, are all like prime candidates to come start playing in C's tournaments and B's tournaments.
Yeah.
That's where they get started, and then they get the bug, they catch the tournament disease, and they grow as players and get good and start winning.
There should also be there might be a potential for another day throughout the week where the tournament is set up specifically for teams that are new or teams that are learning, not teams that are like A or high A's or low A's even. Something for the new players to get a taste of see how it goes and get a taste of the scene and see what options are available and stuff.
Yep, that is exactly what you need. Sorry about the lag there, folks. Just on the phone, and I'm guessing as I opened up a new window to check, it didn't like that. So Nolski lost a little bit of quality and a little bit of his voice there. But
probably good for my face. It's all good.
It's all a good point. And again, please, like I'm going to say this a million times, and I'm going to keep saying it. I've said it before as well. It's a community effort in regards to everybody who's playing to get more players in. If you talk to someone and they don't know about tournaments, they should know about tournaments. Please have them in.
The Discord link is very easy to remember. It's discord.gg/RLO. Just give it a quick shout out, a pass on anyone that you think is, or a team or a new team that doesn't know of us. I mean, that does happen. Just give it a shout out, and we can direct them wherever we need to, or show them where to find extra players, or if they even want to start looking for an org to represent them, kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of young entrepreneurs that are looking to get out there, looking to sponsor a team.
Yeah, and RLO are just good because they announce every tournament, so it's a good place to start. I'd rather have just a big calendar that had everything on, but that takes somebody putting in some effort, I guess. But it's a good category to move on to the next one, and I'm going to do a little bit of this every single week, and this sort of replaces a little bit of the question time because we get these similar questions each week, and that is I'm going to have kind of stuff for people getting into tournaments or wanting to know more about tournaments, how to do so in the best possible way. And right now, I think it's a great time to do this category, creating a tournament team. It's an absolutely fantastic time just because there's so many people that are LFT, there's so many people looking, and a lot of people sort of find a team, they find it in the wrong way and then break up a week later because they were silly or they expect results instantly. And the big thing with any Rocket League team that you're creating, the first thing that you always have to keep in mind is that you're not going to be good to start with. You'll be good in your first week, you'll have fun together, and then you're bound to lose a few tournaments a week later. There's always that honeymoon period where you do badly. And so do not, when you are creating a team, look for 3 players that are just perfect together. That's not how it works. You find 3 people or 2 other people who you enjoy playing with.
Absolutely.
Find 2 people that are your best friends, who are of a roughly similar skill level, who are of a roughly similar idea of goals and work ethic, but mostly that you enjoy playing with. And be friends, grow from there. See the top teams right now. Alpha Sydney, it comes from Jake and Torsos, who are great friends, started a team together and found Drippe, who they enjoy hanging out with, and they play together all the time. Atletico, who have been together now for 9 months and don't just play Rocket League together, they play everything together because they enjoy each other's time. Abyss, Adzi and Express, they enjoy playing with each other, they bring in Sirix, they enjoy playing with him, they play other games. And Legacy, same deal there. They all play with each other. And I can't just say, anecdotally, that's why. It's specifically because if you enjoy playing with each other, you're going to want to play more with each other. It's going to be easier if you're a friend to give somebody feedback and have that feedback accepted and accept other people's feedback and
That's
improve together. It's all about growing as individuals and growing as a team, building that synergy. No one has instant synergy. As much as you say, oh, our rotations are perfect the first time you play. Maybe they were. Maybe it was coincidental. But you need to lock those in. You need to grow your strategy. You need to improve constantly and grow as a team. And that just takes time. It just takes 2 months of sticking together with your friends. So if you're picking people that you don't enjoy playing with, you're never going to play well because you're not going to stick with them. You're going to find another team, play poorly with them, find another team, play poorly with them, and the cycle will continue, and you'll keep going, I just can't find a good team. Well, it's because you're not willing to stick with 3 people that you enjoy playing with.
Yeah, and we've said on the show before that you have to stick it out with your team. I suppose even if you do pick players based on skill over how much you enjoy playing with them, or synergy, that you still have to stick it out. You still have to try it out. Maybe there's something you haven't discovered in the first, 2 weeks that you might discover later on.
Yep. And it's very rare for a team that is strictly professional to do well. I think Gameroos was sort of like that. We didn't play a lot of each other outside of scrims and tournaments. We just played a lot of scrims. And nowadays, I think we're better friends than we were back then, simply because our experience together was just through the tournament. That was how we became friends. But we didn't enjoy each other. It just so happened that 3 very mature people. So you can also go that route if you really want. In particular, myself and AOE Emp would sit there talking every single scrim about the mistakes we were making and improving, and DeBeast would sit there listening and take constructive criticism. No one would get tilted. It was fantastic that way. And that came from respect, even if not like a deep, passionate friendship like you have with Adzi and Express, who strictly, I think they might be going out. That's how close they truly are.
But to be fair, something like that is difficult to find, more difficult, more rare to find than someone you just enjoy playing with.
Yeah.
Just because, the esports scene is filled with more youngsters, less mature, less learned in terms of interaction with people, especially when you're online and stuff. So that kind of maturity goes a long way, but obviously much harder to find.
Yeah, definitely. And there's just so much to go over that category. I did have a spreadsheet sort of thing to go over. But right now, one of the problems in OCE is that because these teams are being unstable, it's got a very unstable power rankings as well. It's very easy to get into that top 10 at the moment. And then if a team sort of drops down at all because a new team comes in filled with superstar players, and they get demotivated. You just got to keep sticking it out. But I think that is a good quick note, and we've already gone quite a while for today. So for those who are on YouTube, that is the end. For the Twitch chat viewers, please feel free to start Q&A, get your questions in, and have a great night.